Hey. Okay, I wanted to talk for a minute about the upcoming food year and what I plan on providing and facilitating and trying to kind of coordinate so that you guys can kind of plan with me, give me some feedback, and we can grow a thing. So I've got so many thoughts and so many things that I want to do that I feel like should be done, okay, that I feel like we as a community could greatly benefit from, and I'm in a position to be, this is my business, right? Like, we're a little farm stand, and the whole point was to give our local growers and makers the opportunity, the hub, to be able to have a market, to be able to sell their things. And we have seen over the last couple of years that we tend to be the bottom of the totem pole, one, of negative effects of things, and two, of getting fresh produce. So, I feel like we are delayed on getting some of the shortages. We still have a lot of the things that the cities don't have most of the time, and it's such a blessing. But at the same time, we can't get fresh food. And I think that many of us probably want it. I think that it's becoming more and more evident the more time goes by and the more news comes out, the more studies that are done, whatever, that growing food, it's not just the way of the past, it is the way of the future. And does that mean that everybody has to do it? No, but it does mean that we need to be setting up a network of people that do want to grow food to give people that don't want to grow food the opportunity to buy it, right? I mean, it's pretty simple. It's basically the idea of a farmer's market. Okay, so there's a few different things that that I plan on redeeming the time facilitating in the next year. One of my original goals was to be a locally sourced grocery store, which means that if you are a food grower in our community, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you. I am also planning on growing food, but I'm also looking to the community for this. Okay, so cool. Let me finish. I'm looking to us to source this. So does that mean that everybody has to grow a surplus of tomatoes and cucumbers and jalapenos? Well, heavens no. But what is something that you are good at growing and you feel confident that you can grow a surplus of, that you have the space and the resources for, that you can provide extra on a somewhat consistent basis? It doesn't have to be, I'm going to have this many of these things every Tuesday, right? Like, no, I don't need it that consistent. But something that you feel confident, being able to shoot me a message and say, hey, I am planning on having extra cucumbers. I am planning on being able to produce extra tomatoes. Whatever that looks like. In addition to what I plan on growing on site, I think that we can easily supply our community. Not only that, Brandon, the produce guy from last year, he was a godsend, you guys. Like, he came out of the clear blue yonder and stepped in when we really needed him, when I really needed him. I needed his produce. I needed his feedback. He taught me so much about pricing and about, how to handle produce and what needs what, and I just am so thankful. He is planning on being back this year. So, he and I had an agreement from the get-go that my goal is to source as close to home as possible, and he's bringing stuff up from Central Arkansas. Now, granted, we all fell in love with the product, right? Because it was high-quality food that he was bringing in. Beautiful stuff for a very reasonable price. But the goal is that we do that. Are they all going to be beautiful uniform tomatoes? I mean, we don't know. But are they going to be high quality things? Probably. And so I've talked to him, and he is planning on supplying whatever gaps we have this year. So he's my backup plan, right? But I don't want to need that. But I understand that in building a thing, we may have a few gaps every so often. We may have a week where I'm shy on tomatoes and he can run through and drop off some tomatoes so that the community can have tomatoes. Like, I think that that'll be a winning situation. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited because each one of these things, the thing is, what we're doing here is not normal. I have studied, I have looked, and this little business, this little entity, it is a brand new thing. I haven't talked to anybody who is doing this the way that we are. And so, finding rules and guidelines, I can pick and pull, but at the end of the day, well, what it comes down to is I want to provide my sellers a fair wage, and I want to provide my buyers a fair price, and then somehow mediate that, be the buffer between them, and make enough money to pay my bills. So figuring that out is a beautiful dance, right? Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. One, locally sourced grocery. Okay, so over the course of the next month or two, I'm going to come up with a day of the week, or maybe a couple days of the week where, if you have produce, you can drop it at this place at this time, or maybe you'll just private message me so that I don't put that out to the mass public. And we will have like a drop site where you can bring things, even if I'm not there. And then, we'll sell that throughout the week. My commission is 20%. I will probably, so the way that's going to work, I've been on the fence. Originally, I wanted to consign it, but then that has you having to come back and pick up your produce, or me figuring out what to do with your produce if it doesn't sell. I've got two answers to that. One, I can just buy it out, which is more risk for me, and I don't like risk, especially since my buffer zone is relatively thin. But at the end of the day, it's still food. And, if I can bring that home and process that for my family, then, it comes out of my grocery bill, I guess. So in that case, commission wouldn't matter to you because I'm buying it wholesale and then I'm marking it up to a retail price, which is probably going to be somewhere around a 20% markup. If we did consignment, it would be something like, you drop it off, I sell it for whatever I can get out of it, and then I give you 80% of that price whenever you come back to either pick up your produce or, bring me the next load of food or, whatever, however that works out. That would work if you wanted back your produce at the end of the week. But one of the things that I think would be really cool, and I fully plan on incorporating this, is a weekly CSA box. Typically, a CSA is done by one farm, and they are putting together things that they know they are growing. So trying to make a CSA out of a bunch of different growers, and depending on those growers to supply those orders is risky, but I think we can do it. I really do. I think it'd be so cool. So what that would look like, if you are from, a city, there's a lot of people that have told me, oh yeah, I did a CSA back at the city that we moved from, because there's a lot of you that aren't natives. So that would look like, there's different ways to do it. A lot of CSAs, you sign up at the beginning of the year, you put your name on a list, and, you have that subscription every week for the next however many weeks, right? I think that that would be cool next year. This year, if I were in your shoes, I don't know that I'd want to do that, because I would want more security, knowing what I was going to be getting for what price. So, and I want that as the one who is creating those CSAs, right? I want that. I want to be able to be confident in what I'm giving you at that price every week. So I also don't love the idea of you just letting me know that week, because that doesn't give me a whole lot of security either. So I'm going to have to figure that out. But that's something that I plan on processing and looking into over the next several weeks, to figure out how we set that up, because there's a couple things that are cool about a CSA box. One, you get a cool variety of stuff that you wouldn't normally get, and I think that's neat. It's kind of like Misfits Market or a CSA box. I mean, really, like, that's the idea, is that you're getting a variety of things. And last year, we kind of dabbled with having a couple different like scales. We had one that was all produce, we had one that was produce and breads, and we had one that was produce, breads, and like redeeming the time products. And that was cool. I love the idea of the produce and the breads. I don't know that I would include products, but I mean, we'll see. I don't know. We've converted so much into the vendor way of doing things that I wouldn't want to be stuffing other people's products in there. But I don't know. My wheels are spinning. My wheels are spinning. Anyway, it'll be something like that. You know, it'll be $10 or $15 for a box of random produce. And that'll be what we have available on like a Saturday. Or maybe another day of the week, because here's the other thing, is that I fully plan on having farmers markets on Saturdays. Now, a couple things about that. Once a month on Saturday, 11 to 1, we have our Homestead Coffee and Chats, and it's available for literally anybody. I make coffee and try to keep up with that, and snacks, and several other ladies bring snacks, and they kind of do like potluck style, and we just hang out. We just sit around and talk, and then, you know, if I have anything coming up, I'll kind of like tell people, and then, you know, we move on, and people filter in and out as they want to, and it's pretty free. On those days, I don't think we've had one coffee and chat over the last 4 months that's been less than 20 people at one time, and it's growing. And that's through the crappy weather. So, you know, people are coming when it's 38 degrees outside and standing outside. So once it's springtime and there's, you know, better weather, I expect that to go up. That's once a month, one Saturday a month. If you are a vendor, just a thought, but that could be a great opportunity for you to set up in our parking lot and try to sell your stuff. Because the thing about the farmers markets, and I'll do a whole separate video about farmers markets, but if you are a vendor in my shop, I don't do a booth fee, but I take a 20% commission on your products. If you are a vendor outside of my shop, I take a $5 booth fee and 10% commission on your products. Just kind of helps motivate me to advertise for you. And I think it alleviates risk on both of our parts. I like it. I think it's good. I think it's fair. So anyway, if you wanted to come set up on those Saturdays, you'd have kind of like a guaranteed crowd. On top of the people that we have coming in, we're busy on Saturdays. So then we're just busy on Saturdays anyway. We have a lot of people come through on a Saturday. It's a good time for us. So if you are a vendor, any Saturday really that is fair weather is a great time to come set up in my parking lot. You'll have customers, especially once we get into spring. Winter's been slow, but honestly, even winter Saturdays haven't been awful. So anyway, I do plan on doing that. So that may determine what days I offer a CSA box. Basically, my issue is I don't want produce sitting in my shop over the weekend, going bad. I don't want that. So if we can avoid that, then we're going to avoid that, and what would go bad in my shop over the weekend probably isn't going to go bad in your house over the weekend, because it's going bad in my shop because it's piled up and it's going to have airflow and proper temperature and humidity in your house and refrigerator. So anyway, on the note of farmers markets though, I think it's going to be an exciting year in our little community in the way of vendor opportunities. I will tell you, last year there was a farmers market, I want to say it was every other Thursday at the Diamond City Community Center. And that got a lot of traffic because at the same time, they're also doing their luncheon. And the food was always wonderful. There weren't a lot of vendors, and there should have been, because there was a great opportunity there for vendors. And the thing is, the more vendors there is, the more crowd you'll get. Like, you can't not contribute to a farmer's market because it doesn't get a whole lot of traffic. It doesn't get traffic because there aren't a lot of vendors. Like, the vendors have to show up first. It's just the way it is. It's inconvenient. It's a struggle. It can be discouraging, but this is the way that it works. We've got to show up first. There was a monthly farmer's market in Lead Hill at the arena. There were maybe 3 vendors at the height of that. 2 years ago, whenever I participated in the Lead Hill Farmers Market, I was one of 5. And that was on the high side. So it was tabled for a minute, and then they ended up picking it back up last year, and there just weren't vendors. Well, y'all, I've talked to enough of you that I know that there are vendors out there. You guys need the security of knowing that you have a place to sell your products if you make them or grow them. And I think that's what my business can offer you. But not only that, the multitude of vendor opportunities in our area this year is only going to do you as vendors and buyers a favor. Because hypothetically speaking, the rumors that I've heard, and y'all, I haven't officially talked to anybody about this. This is just rumor, okay? But if the Diamond City Community Center, again, hypothetical, if they did it the same way they did last year, if they had a every other Thursday market, and then Lead Hill, Deborah Callahan is talking about the possibility of doing maybe like a Friday market during the Saddle Club play nights, which is genius because there are people there for that, and it's at night, there's cars, it's gonna grab attention. So if that's, if the Diamond City is every other Thursday, and if Lead Hill is Friday evening, and then I'm Saturday morning, if you are a vendor and you have made fresh food or you have grown fresh produce, you have a pretty surefire way to sell that stuff between those 3 markets every other week and those 2 markets every week. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of incredible. It's kind of incredible. I don't know how those markets work. I know for me, I'm not planning on requiring, a commitment, like you don't have to commit to showing up every week. Like if you make something this week and you want to come set up, come set up. I love you too, buddy.
What do I eat?
Your mac and cheese.
I hate mac and cheese.
But anyway, so totally lost my train of thought. Anyway, so I was saying that I'm not planning on requiring a commitment. I don't care. If you show up on a Saturday morning and ask if you can set up outside, I'm probably going to tell you yes, unless you're doing something totally unmoral, right? Like, if you're wanting to do something totally unmoral, you are not welcome on my property. But if it fits within the boundaries of like wholesome and good, then come set up like literally any Saturday. But anyway, okay, so that is, I wrote down too. Okay, first of all, if you are interested in that being available, you need to contact the people that are going to be involved in those things. I want to say Sandy Honecker did a lot with the Diamond City market last year. If that's something that you are interested in being a vendor at or a buyer at, contact her. You're welcome, Sandy. And Deborah Callahan has talked about getting one set up. So Michelle Burleson headed it up last year. And so I don't know, I'm not sure who to contact, but I would contact one of the two of them. Contact Michelle or Deborah and see what's going on with the Lead Hill Market and let them know if that's something that you're interested in. But listen, if you're going to tell them that you are going to be a buyer or a vendor, don't not show. Okay? I'm not saying commit for every weekend between now and October. I'm just saying, and they might require that for a market. Totally possible. But if you contact them and tell them, I would like to see this happen, be prepared to either show up with your products or show up with some money, because it takes more than just I would like to see this happen for these things to thrive and for us to change a culture. Like, there's got to be some commitment in that way, okay? Not like you got to sign your life away, but like you got to be willing to invest in these things. And so I wrote this down, and I think this is an important point. Investing in local food culture ensures quality and prices and availability in the future. So if we, as a little community, can invest in our local structure, our local food structures, and our local food growers, then it puts money back in their pockets and our pockets, and we can take that money and we can grow better in the fall, and we can grow better next spring. And not only that, you're encouraging people to grow better and to learn more and to take it seriously. And then we're a whole lot less subject to all the crazy crap that a lot of our cities are going through right now with food shortages and being dependent on literally anything. Look, my husband and I trucked for a while, and the reality is, if those truckers go on strike, we're all stuck, okay? And a trucker strike has been in the works for a long time, and honestly, it needs to happen. If that really happens, then what are we gonna do? Or there's another shutdown. Look, now we know we can. Now we know we can shut down the whole country. Okay, so then what? What do we do? And I'm not saying just for these crazy crises, altering our entire way of life in fear of something coming down the pipeline. That's so not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, I think that we are becoming increasingly aware that bringing it home is better, because we're less susceptible to all of the crazy circumstances and variables that are out there. It could be anything. It could be totally benign, completely innocent. Doesn't matter. It could be anything. It could be the avian bird flu, and next thing you know, you're talking to your neighbor about eggs 3 times a week. You know what I mean? So anyway, support that local system. You're supporting one of two things. You're supporting a local food system, or you're supporting a not local food system. It's a choice. And it's not, it's something like, I'm still buying from Walmart, y'all. Like, all the time. Spent $350 last week at Walmart to give food for my family. Like, oh, yes, I hate it. But when given the opportunity, I am going to make an intentional effort to support locals as much as I can. Okay, back to grocery at the store. So a couple key components are pricing. I have thought about, looking at a daily grocery produce price and then adjusting the price daily based on that. I just don't like that way. I don't have enough time to do that. It's just me. And I think it's too back and forth, and I want it to be more consistent than that. So, I've shopped groceries for a long time, and I have a general feel of what I would consider a good price. I feel like I'm a relatively thrifty shopper, and I look for a good deal, and I price things based on that. If I were in your shoes as a buyer, that's how I want things priced. But at the same time, I want to give the grower a fair price, right? I've already said that. So that's going to come down to a, item per item. And on that note, the difference between organic and not organic, obviously, I don't know that any of us have the capacity to be certified as organic food growers. I think that a lot of us have committed to use organic methods as much as possible. And I will probably try to sell those separately. I don't know that I'll price those separately because honestly, Miracle-Gro and Roundup cost just as much as rabbit manure. You know what I mean? So the non-organic grower is going to be investing as much money, if not more. So I haven't worked that out yet, how I'm gonna differentiate that, but I do want, if someone is wanting organically grown produce, I do think that it's important that that differentiation is made. But at the same time, some people don't, and that's important that differentiation is made. So, okay, that and okay, I was just going to run you through our prices from last year. So basically what we did last year was Brandon, my produce guy, he had those little quart green foam deals and a produce bag on the inside of that. And we sold everything for $6 a quart. I think that was a functional system, something that I could wrap my head around. People knew it was consistent. If I was busy and it's just me, I can tell people everything on the table in the quart container is $6, and then melons are this, and corn is this, and grapes are this, and whatever. Or, obviously have signs. But I think it functioned well. I don't know if we'll do it exactly the same this year, but just as a point of reference, if you're planning on being a seller, if we're selling those things for $6 and you're getting 80% of that, that's what you're looking at. So when you are at home and you grow, a bunch of okra and you throw it into a quart container, you can look at that and say, this is this much money worth of okra. And you don't have to question when you come in how much money, is it worth it for me to bring produce in? Whatever, you don't have to worry about it. At home, that's what this is. And I think it keeps it simple for all of us. And if Brandon is selling produce and filling in some of our gaps, I don't want to be charging a different price for his stuff than I am for our stuff. And, just keep it simple, stupid, right? So, anyway, those are my thoughts for the upcoming year. And I plan on hashing some of this out even more. I know that it's time consuming. I know this was long-winded. I'm sorry. But I think that, we're building something as a community here that's going to benefit our community in so many ways. And we have to do this together. We have to think some of these things through together. How appropriate, the kids are playing The Price is Right on the Echo show in the background. funny. Anyway, so we have to plan some of this out together, and yeah, so I will keep you updated as I know more, as I come up with more, and please feel free to message me or comment, and we can talk some of this out and come up with some systems that work and brainstorm together. I am so excited about all of the things. I am so excited about all of the things that are coming up in this next year, and where we could be sitting in November of next year, looking back over the last year at the connections that are made and the way that we've encouraged each other and the quality of food that we've consumed. We could be a healthier people. We could be a wealthier people. We could be a happier people, a more connected people. And we could be on the verge of something really, really cool here. In fact, I kind of have a hunch that we are. And I'm pretty stoked. Anyway, you guys have a good day, and I'll be back. I'll be back later with more.